Welcome to Exiles, a Gospel of Mark podcast. We are coming to you from Grace Church in Erie, Pennsylvania, where we are taking what we learn about ancient truths and the person of Jesus into our everyday lives. You can check out whoisgrace.com/Mark for the sermon and resources we use for our conversation. So, thanks for joining us today for Season 3. This section of Mark, the Jesus Way, will take us through the end of July. And we are following Jesus through Galilee as he continues his teaching and healing work while training his disciples and facing down the opposition. And as you guessed it, I'm another one of those guests, but I do want to say this.
Outsiders.
Super big fan. So excited that I'm here.
We're really glad you're here.
I can't wait to derail this thing
fun.
in under 5 minutes. That's my goal.
I can't either.
You are officially one of the Sarah and the Exiles.
I'm so Sarah and the Exiles. I love that. Hey, listen. So I'll introduce myself. I know we do introductions to start out this thing. So my name is Scott. I'm one of the pastors here at Grace. Mm-hmm. And let's see. What else do you want to know about me?
Anything.
What do you want to know about me?
How long does it take to do your hair every morning?
Oh, that's
People
a
have
good
asked
one.
about that.
Really? Mm-hmm. I
That's
put
a good one.
It's like a common question.
I put a little bit of product in it. I put a hat on, and I wear the hat for about 20 minutes. Take it off, and
Come on. That's it.
that's all I
The
do.
hat is the secret.
The hat is a secret.
Wow.
If you don't wear a hat, what happens?
Pass it down.
It's huge.
That's
Just
Straight up
so
poof.
the hat, like,
Listen, there's so much volume in this thing. It's unbelievable.
in this thing, and you mean your hair.
I mean,
I don't even remember.
All right.
It has its own identity. That's what I
I don't even remember you without that hair.
There's
Was it
pictures.
real short?
Yeah.
before?
oh yeah.
It's like
Listen,
way
I've
shorter.
gone through all sorts of
It was
different
high-
haircuts in
high
my
and
life.
Because
tight.
after you grew
Used
it
to
out for that, it was a bet, right?
Yeah, it was.
Like how long?
My girls, they're like,
Yes.
Dad, you won't cut your hair for 6 months, and I'm like, Are you
Okay.
serious? Do you know who I am?
And you did it. And then you're like, oh, I kind of like it, but let's go back a little.
Yeah, but I used to just take it. So I've cut my own hair for I don't know,
forever.
decades, and I would just, and then I started messing around with trying to do the fade thing.
Which on yourself is
Here you are.
impressive.
Well, I do the double mirror, the double mirror. Look in the mirror in the back.
So do you have a special bathroom that you have to cut your hair in? Because
Outside
of your,
of our bathroom.
like, do you?
Yeah, they built their own bed.
No.
Scott's
Okay,
hair
here, let
cutting?
me
Well,
rephrase.
it's like
hair
beards.
goes everywhere.
Ben cuts his own hair at home, and I make him go in the basement.
Oh, no.
Because it is too much of a mess. I will find hair on the ceiling. I will find
It does kind of
it's
explode,
everywhere, explodes everywhere, and then he'll have it on his t-shirt or towel, whatever, and then he just throws that laundry in with the rest of the laundry, and then there's hair everywhere.
Oh,
and
wow.
we had to like completely revamp. Now they have these things where you can attach it to your neck, and like suction cup it to your mirror, and it like
It
catches
catches
on
it
there.
all?
I don't
So
do that.
we moved him down into the basement to
Is he happy with that? He doesn't have a choice.
I don't think he has.
Look,
did you get that he had a choice?
The basement is his
didn't
man
hear that.
cave. So he
He
should
can do
like
whatever
being
he
that.
wants.
In a barbershop.
Exactly. You can leave it as messy as you want.
Right.
Like that's not my problem.
As messy as he wants.
Because I'm not down there. I don't see
Ever?
it.
You never
I
go
do.
down there.
We like in the fall and winter I do. But in the
okay.
summer I don't spend a lot of time. No. But that's my question is do you have to cut your hair in a certain part of the house?
No, because I'm so clean about it.
I can see that.
I think Aaron has to cut his in the garage when he has to do his.
I feel like we should
Aaron Lundberg.
Ask Heather.
ask Heather.
Yeah, ask Heather.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I believe that.
Heather will be our guest
You come across
exile
as a-
next week.
Call her.
Also, I just want to commend you on drinking 17,000 gallons
I
of
went
water.
way over yesterday, which was really great, but still.
We've never actually seen her finish that. So
I have finished it every day. And when I
also
went
love
to
this-
when I went to Tampa,
This lip repair that you bring. It's phenomenal.
when I went to
You do
Tampa,
look super
I drank.
hydrated, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The hydration glow.
Yeah.
But
The
when I was in Florida,
hydration
I
glow.
still drank my gallon of water. I didn't take this, but I had my friend. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Thank you. I actually really enjoy it.
I heard we were supposed to be introducing each other.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
What happened?
We went.
That was not your bad.
That's what happens when you start talking about my hair, I guess.
Yes.
yeah,
Derails. Should I go?
Yeah.
I'm Sarah McCosco. Hello.
Scott hasn't asked the question.
Oh.
Oh, there you did derail this within 5 minutes.
I'm so
Good job.
Listen, for the rest, it doesn't matter what goes on. I achieved my goal, and it's so fantastic. Yeah, I get to
Stop.
ask a question as an
Okay,
icebreaker
yes,
question.
go.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
I think the ice is broken.
I think it is, but we're going to do it anyway.
Smashed
Listen,
it.
who would you cast as yourself to play in a movie?
Okay. So I'm going to go at a different angle on this, but I have a couple options. If I'm not gonna look at
options.
it as someone I think looks like me or acts like me. It's just I love this actress and I would just love her to play me. I would love a young Goldie Hawn. We're talking like Overboard days.
Overboard, great movie.
Kurt
Russell.
Yes, and what's the one with the women? The Divorce Wives Club.
Holy cow!
Listen, that Goldie Hawn.
I don't know who that person is.
Please tell me you know who Goldie Hawn is.
I know who she is.
You've never watched
I don't know those
Overboard?
movie references.
Watch Overboard.
is
It's so good.
That's actually a good one.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could see that.
And her daughter, Kate.
Yeah, Kate Hudson.
I would love
that's her daughter.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the heck out of here, man. We are going to go wild today. So my name is
I'm
Mike.
never getting invited back. This is great.
Probably not. My name is Mike. I'm one of the pastors here at Grace.
Danielle walks in. She's like, "That's it."
Danielle's listening right now. I would have first option Matthew McConaughey.
Okay.
I see that.
I mean, that totally
All right,
makes
all right,
sense.
all right.
See? That-
Second would be if
does
Matt's
have-
not
yes.
available, Owen Wilson.
oh, wow.
They're like one and the same person.
They're
though.
pretty well.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
All
And his
incredibly
brother
handsome.
Luke they're completely overlooked. I think they are gems of actors.
Guys, these are two great.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
options.
solid.
That was very good. Owen Wilson especially.
Now I feel the pressure, guys.
You should feel pressure.
I'm Steven, and I'm going for Gerard Butler.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea who that is. I'm looking.
What? Are you serious?
Wow.
Come
You
on
I
now.
didn't even know who Goldie
Come
Hawn
on.
was. Let's
P.S.
be
I
careful.
love you.
Yours is worse.
What's his name again?
Gerard
300.
Butler.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
Of course
He
you've seen
is.
300.
He's Scottish too.
Oh. He was also in
no.
P.S. I love you.
no. What's
I don't know
that
why I
really?
keep referencing that.
You have
300.
I love romantics.
Mike just
Did
said
you
that.
say 300?
300, I
What a
just said
great
300.
movie, right?
Oh, that's the only movie that I can watch anytime,
So
any
good.
moment, every
So
time.
So good.
500 times. It
So
doesn't
good.
matter. Oh, I love it.
Wasn't that the one that had the
This
big
is
gold man? The bald guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Persian Empire.
Yes.
or
Yes.
Emperor,
King
whatever
Xerxes.
it is.
Xerxes.
Yeah, King
I'm
Xerxes.
going to watch
that's right.
that soon.
Yeah, we should all watch it.
Guys, this was.
In here.
It's a good match.
On this screen.
Okay. Behind us
great.
as we do
And
podcasts.
visualize Steven.
This is
We like Photoshop his face
Yeah.
on the
I
image.
don't look like Jared Butler in that movie, that's for sure.
Look, there's me.
My wife will say I have a man crush on Jared.
Do you?
Do you kind of?
Probably, yeah.
Oh man.
Do you have a man crush on the character in 300?
No.
It's like, but P.S. I
He's
love
not
you. Is where you're-
superficial.
Yeah, he's
person.
He's got depth. At least that's what I learned when I listen to these podcasts. There's all sorts of
does.
depth.
That's my shallow moment right now.
does.
That's my shallow moment. Just
Awesome.
long for that six pack, guys. That's
That's awesome.
P.S. I
All
love
right.
you.
Anyway, we talk about the Bible?
Yeah, let's
No,
talk.
it's Scott's. He didn't even do his.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
I have to answer that as well?
Yes.
All right, so you ready for this? I have been told by so many people that when they see me, they see Seth Green or
Okay.
Chris Kattan. I would choose neither of those people
Oh.
to cast as myself.
I'm going to pull up so
Who
I
would
can.
you
I don't
choose?
know if I
Seth Green.
Yeah, Seth Green or Chris Kattan.
Who would you choose?
don't know.
So
Okay.
Channing Tatum.
Good for
Okay.
you.
Didn't he do that dance movie? Just Dance or whatever?
No, it was
Magic Mike.
Stomp- the
Magic
ground?
Mike. You just know all the movie names.
Guys, you're
Look at
so
you.
welcome for this.
I mean, so this.
All right, we're just picking
Oh, look, the plumbing.
aspirational.
Seth Green? No.
Okay,
I
so
don't- I don't see that.
No,
there's
at all,
like
right?
this
I don't
section.
see Channing
Right.
Tatum.
No,
The rest of it.
listen, guys.
Let's put a red-headed wig on you and let's see.
I can. All right,
Because Seth Green.
let's do that.
These people are wrong. Whoever these people are.
Chris Kattan's pretty funny, dude.
I just
Chris Kattan. Why can't I remember?
He's a
who are
pretty
these
funny dude.
people?
I
I
just
think my
spelled
problem is
Kattan.
I don't know.
K-A-T-A-N. I don't. There you go.
Oh, there it is.
Let me
There
see.
you go. He's pretty funny. Have you ever seen him do?
No, he's an
Listen,
SNL
people
guy.
have told me both. I don't get it. I don't see it either.
This is also the Night at the Roxbury. Did I get that right? Where they do the yeah,
Yes,
him and Will
that-
Ferrell.
yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, that's why I did it.
I think his personality.
The Channing Tatum thing was actually a joke too, guys. I just wanted to
But
see
hey,
the
you can
reaction.
choose anyone.
Yeah.
You can choose whoever you want.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, it just blanked on me. I just had it and I lost it.
Oh.
That's unfortunate.
If it comes back
It's a
at any
sign.
point, just say it.
Providential
Yeah.
sign.
No, it is. That's God saying you should talk about me in the Bible. That's what it is. Hey, so this is the awkward moment for me. I'm just like, we're talking about the sermon that I preach. So
We've all said that the last 3
that's
weeks.
fun. Yeah,
I think it's great, though.
It's strange.
This is where we critique you.
That's fine. You can
Oh.
critique away.
I got a 10 out of 10 last week, so no
I
pressure.
think I actually like it because I think you're able to give a totally different perspective. Which is neat.
Okay. So,
Yes.
All right. So we're in Mark 9, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about the transfiguration, and there's all sorts of things. There's all sorts of references. There's all sorts of theological meanings that go into this. But I think the thing that I focused on in the beginning was just the idea of putting yourself in the story. And I know you guys talked about that a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But specifically for this one, when we were talking about the disciples and going up to the mountain and seeing Jesus transfigured, I just honestly want to start out asking, what would you have done? Like, what would you have done if you would have all of a sudden seen this guy in human flesh literally transfigured?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I think it's so beyond my realm of.
Which you brought out in your, like, imagine that. There's no frame of reference.
No, we have nothing to compare it to in our life. Like we've never seen. I think I would be totally shocked beyond repair.
Yeah.
I think I would just kind of stand there and be like, "What do I do with this?"
I think it would be a fearful worship.
Yeah.
I think that's the response you see throughout Scripture.
Yeah.
I don't think mine would have been any different. Like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. Let's fall down and worship.
Can we refresh? We don't know what they did.
Well, so actually, I talk about if you read Luke's
Refresh my
account,
memory.
so they go up to the mountain. They're thinking they're going up to pray. Jesus is transfigured, but they're asleep.
So it obviously didn't happen like immediately. So they had time to go to bed.
Well, I mean, they have a pattern of falling
Falling
asleep
asleep.
when they're praying.
There is very much a pattern. This
Yeah.
is an at least, yeah.
So maybe I would have rubbed my eyes and been like, am I really
Am
seeing
I dreaming?
what I think I'm seeing? Am
Would have been
I?
a dream? Yeah.
Right.
So like they're asleep, he transfigures, they wake up, and there he is, like totally different. Or he changed in front of them. Do we know?
Peter, pinch me.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't there. But the other thing is that then Moses and Elijah, and we can talk about that in a second. But so the whole reason why I ask that is, because I ask, how do you go about putting yourself in the story of Scripture? Like I think that's everybody probably has a different approach. How do you go about doing that? Or do you do it? Or do you just read it and be like, okay, great, thanks?
I try, but then I get frustrated because I can't comprehend it. And I just accept that, but I try to understand
In general or
how
in this specific
incredible
story?
it would be in this story. Well, any of them. But like, since we're talking about this story, I try, but it's impossible.
What do you do? Like, how do you do it? Like, if somebody's listening, be like, okay, great, you put yourself in the story. What do you do? Do you
Well, I
picture
try to picture it.
So
I try to picture it.
So here's the thing. So do you picture you seeing it through your eyes, or do you see yourself in the story? So like watching above.
Watching above.
Well, see, that's important to know.
See,
Watching above.
and
Trying to
I
see the whole picture.
I love this exercise and doing it. I picture myself as not one of the main characters, as a side character, and I see it as if Mimi, like I'm seeing it
You're
through
seeing
my
it through
eyes.
your
Through your
eyes.
eyes, yes.
As a side character who may or may not even be mentioned, but is just kind of
Like an extra in this story.
an extra, like
Yeah.
observing it. That's how I tend to like put myself in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. What about you?
I'd say that's fair. If I were to, it feels like a movie, right? If I would
Yeah.
put myself
Yes.
in a movie, I think what I do try to do, because I'm all about, you guys know me at this point, right? I'm all about being right and wrong. So I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to put myself in the
Yeah,
story
we experienced
incorrectly.
that.
And so a practice I've adopted is trying to the best of my ability understand the first century context before I try to put myself in the story.
great.
Otherwise, I'm going to come with my 21st century
Yeah.
It's great.
presuppositions or ideas or thoughts. So I'd like, okay, what's actually going on? How would they have actually responded? Because I want to respond how they would potentially respond. So
Yeah.
I find myself jumping to the defense of the disciples. Like, well, they're sleeping. Like, they just walked up a mountain. Like, I'd be sleeping if I'm always defensive. And I think it's because I'm trying to defend myself, because it's like you say in the message, the disciples are me. Like,
Yeah.
and so I'm almost trying to like defend the situation because I know I would behave.
let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
I
Honestly,
know.
I'm glad. It would have been cool to witness that. I'm glad I wasn't one of those three, because my happy butt would have fallen asleep. I'd have come down and be like, what do you mean you're going to die? Like, you can't be doing that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I would, yeah.
Trying
I'm
to
glad I
comprehend it
wasn't
all.
one of those three because I'd have reacted just like them, if not worse.
Yeah. So the interesting thing that I try to do is I like the first century context. I think that's a really good lens to do. But for anybody listening, I think it's really important to figure out how you would go about doing it and picturing it, because it then helps inform. So it's kind of like when you go up there and the picture is fuzzy. Every little thing should help you fine tune it. So I'll even go as far as, is it a clear day? Is it overcast? Is it hot? Is it humid? What's my body feel like? So I try to engage my body into what am I hearing? What do I smell?
Bugs.
Not the bugs.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Wildlife.
Bugs, wildlife, like rocky terrain. I'm on a mountain.
Man, comfortable.
Have
I've
you
been
ever,
sitting on
you
a
ever
rock.
been to Israel?
No.
So you have to go.
I know. You
have
want to
to
know what it
go.
would do to my mind?
Because it does. It opens up a whole new world. Like even going
you can,
to like
the visuals.
Capernaum, where Jesus hung out most of his life, where
Yeah.
he grew up as a boy. Like you have in your mind's eye, like how big this area is, but then you step in, it's like a tiny little village.
See?
So you can walk around it in 5 minutes. And like
And you know he was there.
whose house is it? I think John's house is like a stone's throw away from the temple that they would have worshipped in. It's just like, it's why, well, hypothetically,
Right.
you know, they don't know, but
Because you're right. We very much try to, if we don't go there, we're almost seeing it through like a movie lens.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to build our own set.
and to actually be on the Sea of Galilee.
And actually know I'm
like,
looking-
Look at the mountains around, and this is where Jesus
Yeah.
would have walked up, and this is potentially where it would have, oh my gosh, it was just like, we went right before the world shut down.
Shut down.
Yeah.
COVID,
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I went. Oh my gosh, because it's just like you're like, oh my gosh, that's the story. So you're able to. There's just a little bit of extra
So
details.
the step before that amazing thing that now we all want to do and go put down tickets for Israel, like so even when I'm like researching sermons, that tends to be where it comes. And you know, Mount Sinai or and I'll Google and like look at
See
the
it?
Google
Yeah.
image, and then
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
Google
Ditto.
image Mount Sinai,
That's good.
Yeah.
that is not what I had in my mind.
Yes. Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
and if you like the Sea of Galilee, if you Google image it, all of a sudden that looks
Yeah.
both more real but way different than what you thought. And even that might be a good intermediate step just to like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the
Get a picture.
setting ish
Yeah.
that he was in.
I just think I think God will, excuse me, honor that
Yeah.
if we slow down and try
the
to
time.
and take the time to get to understand the setting a little bit more, because I talk about this idea of, I just feel like God wants us to use all of us to engage with Scripture, not just our head, not just with our heart kind of thing, but all of us. And
Yep.
so I just think that it's a cool practice. And I was just
Yeah,
wondering what
engage
you
the
guys did.
senses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really.
We were given
really good.
imagination for a reason.
100%. Yeah. Okay, so what grabbed you most about this entire passage of Scripture?
I think for me is the kindness of Jesus
All the time, right?
to let them in.
Say more.
Well, I mean, as we've progressed through Mark, it I just feel like the constant theme. I mean, there's four themes that we've pulled out, right? But I think one of the constant themes is discipleship failure.
Yeah, right.
But it's like Jesus and his kindness. Now, he didn't afford this to the 12, but he grabbed 3 of his guys, especially Peter, who he just told to get behind him,
Right.
and called him Satan. Like, it's like, all right, come on up, guys. Like, you're about to. Nobody else is going to be able to experience this. One in a lifetime opportunity right now.
Right.
And despite your failure, I'm going to let you in.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep letting you in. I'm going to love you patiently. And so that's what stands out to me. And obviously I can relate that in my life. Obviously I've never been up a mountain with Jesus and
Right.
seen his face glow, but
Not yet.
not yet.
Well, that's going to be pretty cool when you do.
But yeah, so I think about that. You know, it takes me back to seasons in my life where I'm like, I did not deserve that grace. I did not deserve that grace. But he continued to invite me in. He continued to invite. So that's what strikes me with this story specifically.
I thought about what it would feel like to be the other disciples that didn't get to go. And then when they all came back down, they weren't supposed to talk about it.
That's right. They weren't.
So I wonder, well, obviously they probably never did then. So did they even, but did they feel jealous in a way? Like, I
they,
want to go.
they did eventually talk about it.
Yes, but like,
Right.
I always think what they felt like, well, I want to go. Like, why can't I go?
Hold on to that one for next week's sermon when they come down the mountain.
Oh.
You're still
on to that
preaching
question.
on it, and there's a whole thing.
I also appreciate how they do not tell you what Jesus looked like. They just said,
transformed.
Right, he was transformed.
So I'm wondering, is that the transformation that we will see? And that's
an
why,
interesting thought.
and that's why they don't give details about exactly what they saw.
Because you read like descriptions of Jesus, like in Revelation, and so yeah, what
What
and
is
even
he gonna look
those
like?
only scratch the surface of what we're going to behold one day. So
What's he gonna
what
look
did he look like? That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Also, bringing in the story of Moses and this one, there's something that's always popped into my head. I want to talk about it. So you have the burning bush, and then you have this moment where he is changed in front of them. When the disciples or Moses are in front of these moments that are extremely powerful and very, very overwhelming. This wasn't like a campfire. This was like probably an insanely massive
The ultimate
burning.
campfire.
Oh my gosh, yes. And to know that God is there and speaking to you. What I always find so fascinating is from a position of the current times with people who are in power or extreme authority are very intimidating. And you feel like you can't speak to them. You feel like you can't ask questions. You feel like you can't give your opinions. You feel like you can't almost like engage with them. So Moses, for example, is literally standing in front of this outrageously powerful bush that is burning. God is talking to him, and he still feels that he is allowed to talk to him. And I think that is such a reflection of who God is, that even in this most insanely powerful, fearful moment, it is still filled with so much love and compassion, and you still feel that you are allowed to speak and have a conversation with him.
Yeah, it's really neat. So
You know what I mean?
Yeah, throughout Scripture,
Yes.
every time the glory of God is revealed in some way, the response is
Yes.
that fear, fall down, worship, but the response of either Jesus in the Old manifest in the Old Testament is always do not be afraid. You know, so even when the angel visits Mary, Mary's
Yes.
terrified. The response is do not be afraid. And so you see it throughout the entirety of Scripture. In fact, I can't think of an incident, there may be, where the response is fearful worship or reverence. Let's call it reverence because that's what it is, right? Reverence, where then the majestic or the heavenly, whether it be an angel or Jesus himself, doesn't actually respond with "do not be afraid," and that's what I love. That there's this like
It's okay. Like
recognition
yes.
of power. Like, oh my gosh, I could be crushed in a second.
Yeah.
Where almost like your sin is elevated. You see the glory of God. Like you understand that picture clearly. But then Jesus in his grace says, don't be afraid.
Because Moses,
afraid.
it was so powerful that Moses literally was changed. Like, which is, so the magnitude of the power that's going on in this moment is extreme. And he still feels like, I may be scared and shaken, and this is so over. Now, mind you, he's also been following a pillar of like fire for how long now? You know what I mean? So I'm not saying he's used to God, because he's not. Like, it's different. But also, like, he's like, okay, well, I still have the ability to get my words in order to say something to him. I would be like,
He gets invited to have a conversation. Like, I mean, Moses at the burning bush. Oh, don't send me, don't send me. Like, dude, like, argues with God.
Yes.
I think about Abraham when the angels visit and they're about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And he's like, what if there's 50? What if there's 40? What if there's, like,
there's
dude.
something that needs to be
Jacob
said
wrestling
about
with
that.
God.
Jake, like the huevos, but God like entertains that and like is willing to
Make up
engage
Spanish for a
with.
second there.
I know.
It's
I know what
so
he said.
true.
Huevos means eggs.
So every time I read those stories, like, I think to myself, oh, they still feel like they can talk right back and feel like they can not
And they
state their
can.
case,
Right.
but they can. And I think that's something so huge that we should not miss when it comes to God. Like,
That's great.
That there's an invitation
Yes.
to
And he
engage
wants it.
with the Almighty.
he wants the
Yeah,
boldness.
the Almighty, but the New Testament would tell us, right? Because of Jesus as our mediator,
Yes.
we can approach the throne of
Yeah.
grace boldly.
Yeah.
As terrifying as it is.
Yep.
So he's
Yeah.
bring your emotions.
Yep.
Bring your concerns. Bring your questions. Bring your fears. Bring your worship. You know, bring all of you, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Because that's the God that He is.
Yeah. So all right, let's go. We're going to put ourselves back up on the mountain, Sarah.
Okay, we're on mountain.
All right, we're on the mountain.
Jesus has changed.
Jesus has changed. Moses and Elijah are there. We obviously recognize that Peter has no idea what to do, so he's just like,
It's like such a host moment. right?
Oh, you mean like hospitality?
Yeah, like, okay, well, you're right. He doesn't know what to do. So he's like, I'll just give you a place to sit and be comfortable.
I feel like this is just Peter's memoirs. That's what we should call it. The memoirs of Peter.
Okay.
Peter.
So, they don't, I think the thing is so regardless of how Peter reacts and responds, the thing afterwards when Moses and Elijah disappear and Jesus is just there with the disciples, I want to just sit there for a second. That's a pretty significant moment. Because what that reveals is that for so long, right, the prophets have been declaring that the Messiah will come one day. Moses represented the law, and now that moment is the declaration. Like, this is a declaration that Jesus is the fulfillment of the law and the fulfillment of the prophecies. And because of the divine glory that shone through for a second, he is also bringing in and ushering this final redemptive stage of God's great grand story. Now, the disciples don't get that, but we have the benefit of hindsight. I don't know. I talked, one of the points is he isn't part of the story. He's the point of the story. And that's a significant, I just want to sit there like, what do you think about that? Just whole thing.
I want to know if they asked like 1,000 questions. Did you start rattling things off? Like, how did you do that? Like, I don't know. I feel like I would have all these questions to ask.
Like, why was Moses here?
Why was
Elijah
what's happening?
here?
How did they get here? Where have they been? Like, I would just be like, shoot 'em off.
It's funny you say that because I feel like my response would be totally opposite, which probably doesn't surprise us because our personalities are different. But I feel like in those moments, because I've had them in my life, not transfiguration moments, but I've had those moments where God has revealed himself in such a way where I could have 10,000 questions because nothing makes sense.
Yes.
But everything makes sense in that moment. So
you wonder.
Just like sit and it's like this overwhelming peace.
Oh, yeah.
What in the world just happened? But I am okay with everything that just happened.
I'm really glad you said that.
And you just sit there, maybe with your questions, but they're satisfied in Jesus. Like you don't even need to ask them because the peace that passes all
It's just like when you go to heaven, you're not, all the questions you think you're going to have, you're probably not even going to have. Because you don't even care.
I think that's funny when people say that as well. They're like, I'm going to ask this question. You're like, no, you're probably not.
I have
Or like,
several.
I'm going to want to know. No, you're probably not.
Probably not.
No.
It's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter.
Yeah.
No.
It's not going to matter. And it probably did not matter then either.
Yeah. I wonder. And, I'm not
Such a good point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Well, first of all, I wonder if they knew it was Elijah and Moses, or was it afterwards? They're like, "Hey, who are those two dudes?" But whatever. Eventually, it was Elijah and Moses.
Yeah.
But how cool it is for three Jews who had grown up under Roman occupation, who had grown up at the tail end of a 400-year period of silence where God hasn't spoken to his people, who they're told that they are his special possession, and they know something's going to come up, but did they believe that anymore? But now they're like maybe starting to, because Peter just had that thing. And now so who were that was Moses and Elijah? Like every good Jewish boy had enough understanding, had enough Torah teaching to go, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh. Like, did they have that dawning moment of like, oh, no, this is happening?
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I hope they did.
Or is it just so overwhelming that it's too much to put it
I hope.
together?
So I don't. So I talk about that a little bit because if you follow it when they start walking back down the mountain, because it's just after God's voice, right? The cloud comes, God's voice declares, "This is my son. Listen to him." I mean, that's a pretty transparent moment. But as you watch them walk down, they're not talking about what the heck did he mean by the son. Because they've already had the "you are the Christ" conversation before going up to the mountain. But going down, they keep asking about what the heck does he mean about rising from the dead? So this is Scott, I'm hopeful that they got it, that he was Christ, that he was the Messiah. I don't necessarily know. They obviously didn't get the rising from the dead
They
part.
got the what, they just didn't get the how.
Yeah, I think so.
It's almost like that redefinition of like they've declared it. Well, at least Peter declared him as the Christ.
Yeah.
But it's like Jesus going, okay, that's your idea of the Christ. Now let's redefine that a little bit.
Yes.
There's a sense in which some of what you think is true.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming back again, and I'm going to come as king.
Yeah.
And I will free people, and there will be, but for now, we need to redefine that a little bit. And so it's like Jesus is now building on it.
Yeah,
He's
that's
building
good.
on it.
So here's a question. Think about a time when God's revealed himself in like maybe, I mean, you could say supernatural way, but like his majesty was revealed to you.
Oh, I got this week. That makes me sound super holy. Like this happens all the time. So like, all right, it'll be cool.
Okay.
Be cool.
All right, well, see you guys later.
Okay. All right.
Well, it's a Tuesday occurrence, so
So we
Tuesdays
from
at
time to
5.
time, I happen to have one this week. So I do my chair time every morning. I get up bright and early because I got it before the girls, before their feet hit the floor, because then things are happening. The train's going down the tracks. So I got it. We've got this sunroom, which is it sucks in the winter, but it is absolutely perfect in the summer because at 6 o'clock I can open the windows and it's mostly windows, and our backyard looks out onto a farmer's field and a valley. Yeah. So I'm not looking at houses. I'm just looking at this beautiful valley arrayed, and you can see the clouds coming on. It's fantastic. But I was just sitting there, and I actually got to 6:56. And the girls, they've got a little alarm clock that goes green at 7, and that way they know they can get up. And I could hear them.
Do they listen to that?
yeah.
We
We tried that with the boys.
My kids did.
Not a chance.
My kids
for
did
the
most of
most,
the time.
most days.
Yeah.
But so 6:56, and I'm like wrapping up, and I can hear them getting ready, and I was like, well, I'll just probably get up there a little bit early, and I was like, maybe I'll just sit here for a minute. And I sat there, and I don't know like what it was, but God just honored that, and I was just looking out at the valley and like the flowers and the trees and the seagulls that were in the back, and just thinking like, for a moment, just putting my mind in the intricacies and the nuances of a leaf, of a bird, which of the flowers that he clothes so intentionally, of the birds that he provides for, watching like the clouds and like just weather and just for a moment, it was just a cool moment where I was like, all the things that I can see that he is upholding with zero effort, and if he's doing all that, how much more does he care about what I'm going through and I'm walking through? And it was just, I don't know. I decided to just sit there. I just had a prompting to sit there and just kind of be for a couple minutes, and it was a super cool moment to
Go
just
to an
behold
aquarium
that.
sometime and stare at. Like,
Yeah, when you're in the water and you're looking at all the different...
no, like in an aquarium, like at an aquarium, like a big, like
Yeah, that's what I
pay
mean.
money.
Like you're walking through that tunnel and
Yes,
you see all
pay
the-
attention
yeah.
to all the little details on fish and coral and everything. Like that's
God knows it. God put it there. God's
He
sustaining
knows the
it.
reason why
God,
it's there.
There was a number of years ago. I love it. There was a number of years ago. I remember preaching a message and used an illustration like that about fish. Like there are hundreds of
And we're still
different
finding
types of
stuff.
fish
Yeah.
that we will never see.
Ever
Yeah.
see.
But God made them for His
Yep.
glory,
crafted them.
which is just bizarre to me. Like when God is most glorified, like we're most satisfied, right? And so it's fascinating to see that we may never see them, but if we do, it's a reminder again of the majesty and the wonder and the splendor and the creation of God. So yeah, I love all of that.
So follow up now to that. How have those moments that you've had gotten you through tough times? Because I talk about this idea that the glimpses of glory are great. They're there, but you can't have one without the other. The agony of the cross is there. So there's glory and suffering. It's all throughout the Bible. There's glory and suffering. How have those moments that you've had of revelations of God's just majesty, awe, and wonder gotten you through? Have you leaned on it? Have you totally forgotten it? Like, just, we don't all have to do it, but
Yeah.
I'd just be super curious.
Those moments are so refreshing. So my moment in particular, every time I'm asked a question like this, I think back to who's now a buddy of mine. I could probably say his name. His name's Harry. He tells his story, but Harry was part of the Church of Satan when I met him. And Harry
The Church of
owned-
Satan, just
yeah.
in case. Oh, that's what I thought you said.
And Harry was a local restaurant owner in the town that I was pastoring in. And for whatever reason, God brought us together. And Harry was full of self-harm, addiction, both drugs and alcohol, and was just a mess of an individual. And for whatever reason, God just brought us together. And I would go to that restaurant and I didn't really, it wasn't like, oh, he's now my project. It wasn't like that. It was just like brought these two people together. I was a pastor and he was, who he was. And just slowly and surely we like built this friendship. And obviously I found out a lot about him. I would go help him pick up his food and stuff for the restaurant, and, realized that he suffered with self-harm, and anyway, learned a lot about him in the process. And there was this moment where he was starting to explore the issues of faith, and we were having a church service that I wasn't leading, but I was going to, and I just knew, I was like, this is the moment to invite him, like God's going to do something. I remember messaging him. He was like, no, I'm not coming. I'm like, okay, I'm still going to go. I'm going to go in faith. I'm going to believe. I'm going to keep praying that he's going to show up. Well, he did choose to show up that night. God captured his heart. He got saved. And that's the moment for me where I'm like,
no matter what, he can do anything.
He can do anything.
You've been doing this the whole time. You knew what you were doing.
Yeah, this guy was so far from, like, if anybody was not going to meet Jesus, it was going to be this guy. I mean, and it was such an entangled web and mass of so many things that would stop and prohibit him. But it was just, I remember in that moment, it was almost like the moment of transfiguration for me, where I'm standing next to him.
Yeah.
He's hands up in worship. For the first time, he's probably never worshiped in his life. Wow. And I'm like bawling my eyes out, wanting to do a backflip at the same time. I think I kissed him on the forehead. I don't know what happened. It was just like this, it was this like beautiful moment where it was like, oh my gosh. Like God revealed him his power, his saving power in that moment. And that's where I go back to. And it's like so refreshing to me. I'm like, God did that.
Yeah.
Yep.
God did
he
that.
Can do anything.
I didn't have like phenomenal, amazing, world-changing conversations with him. We just talked. We just like, it was almost like a friendship. And then God was just like,
here we go.
And now he's one of the big leaders,
like, what's next? Yeah.
In the Celebrate Recovery program. He's been doing that for years. Cool. He's married to the woman who was also struggling at the time. Oh my gosh, just so much redemption in his story. But what's fascinating is a week later, he tried to kill himself.
Wow.
So much.
And I remember just being a part of that, like, push and pull struggle, but God's going, I got him. I got him. I got him.
Satan's
and he
one
navigated
last.
that road every single step of the way. So anyway, I just say that, like, in those moments where I don't think God's enough anymore, or like, how can God do it? Like, God always takes me back.
That's cool.
Remember Harry? Like, that was an impossible situation. And God just...
And not to
It's awesome.
prelude next week, but I mean, I talk about this because they come down from the mountain, Transfiguration, and they come find a bunch of people arguing about some stupid crap. And they get thrown into a tough situation. They come from that mountaintop, and they step into something really tough. And God gives us those really cool moments with him, reveals himself to us.
Yeah, that's good.
Because we need that to fuel us through the hard stuff, through the mundane stuff. And Satan usually attacks what's working. So, like, your friend trying to kill himself a week later makes total sense.
Yep, it absolutely
does. That can seem like a disconnect, makes total sense. Because Satan said, I got to do it. I got to strike now, or I'm going to lose him forever. And he lost him. Thank goodness. That's cool.
I had a very vivid dream a long time ago of Jesus coming back. And I will remember every single detail of it. I will remember it perfectly. And the thing that I was waking up as he was pulling me, I could physically feel being pulled. I was in New York City visiting my best friend, Kevin. I was sleeping on his couch. And I woke up and I begged him to take me back. I did not want to stay. Like, I wanted to go back to the dream so badly and like just take me. I really, that pull was so extreme. And then I felt bad. I was like, poor Kevin doesn't need to find his best friend Sarah dead on, his couch, So give him,
What a sacrifice you made, Sarah.
Chewy. But like that, so that dream stays with me. And when things are really, really hard, I remember this isn't forever. He's going to come back. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to be over. Anything that I hear or see that makes me sad, cruelty in the world, whatever, I remember the dream and I remember it's not forever. Like, it's temporary. He's coming. So that's where I go to.
That's great. So there's the big discipleship question that we have is, how does this picture of Jesus compel you to live differently? And I preface that with a passage from 2 Corinthians 3, and at the end it talks about, those who have the Spirit of the Lord are free, but they're also called to reflect the glory that lives inside them. And so as you read this passage and you see the things and hear the things and feel the things that those three felt and heard and saw on the mountain, and understand that this is an amazing revelation of, yes, we have the gift of hindsight. We know that this was God saying, this is my son. He is divine, and he is the point of the story, and he's ushering in this kingdom. And it's even just a small foretaste of what the end times are going to look like, and what we might even get a glimpse of seeing in its full entirety. How does it compel you to live differently? How do you reflect his glory moving forward?
You want us to answer it?
I don't know. I get to ask the questions, right? That's what I was told. I get to ask questions.
I mean, it makes me want to just remind myself to slow down and just keep spending time with him, because at the end, it's all that's going to matter. So just slow down. And no matter how busy you are, just keep making time. I'm in it right now where I'm like super busy. I'm having the best time, but I'm super busy, and I keep losing him in it. Like I keep forgetting to add him to the crazy, even though he's the one that gave me all the fun crazy that I'm in.
It's a super cool answer.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
The words that just come to my mind right now as you ask the question is just don't lose sight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer right now.
Great. I'll take that.
Mine is just to remember. And I think God's been bringing that up for me for a while now. Like as I walking through different things and looking forward to what could be and what, and it's not always nice and neat. And I don't have the next 3 steps planned out like I would prefer to. And so in the unknown and the uncertainty, I think God's just been telling me, and this is, again, having that moment, like, remember those times when I've revealed myself. Yep. Remember what I do and what I sustain, and remember how I've come through, and then trust. And so, I don't know, that can be a vague answer, but some of that exercise we just did, I've been doing that pretty often. Remember that time. Remember that time he spoke to me and he brought me here to Grace. Remember that time I didn't know how this was going to work out. I was going to leave my wife for months. Remember how he came through. Remember, why would he stop now?
And Sammy and Sarah talked about that last week. Sarah was talking about how she would pull out her prayer journals from like a year ago that day, and she reflected back and how much it changed. And then Sammy was also talking about how she used to journal all the time, and it helps to remember to reflect.
Actually, and that's you did talk about journaling a little bit last. Like you wish you could journal more. So I've settled. This is
should I make voice memos? Just talk
That's an interesting
you know what
thought.
I mean?
Why wouldn't you?
Because every phone has the ability
to
just to
how long?
I don't think.
I mean, you can back them up.
But an hour and a half later,
I tried it twice, and my phone storage was filled.
Ben, I need more storage.
Give me your phone.
But I'm wondering, in that moment, is it crazy just to hit record and talk about what just happened and store them away?
No,
them.
I've integrated journaling. I cannot journal every day or even every week, but we get kind of like a half a day to ourselves every month, my pastor half day. I will journal every month, and I will journal about the last month.
That's good.
And so it's once a month, and it's on the calendar, and I'm going to spend an hour writing it down, and then usually before I journal for this month, I'm flipping through the previous months, and it's often enough that I'm capturing everything, but not so often it's overwhelming and burdening.
I bet a year from now it's totally different for you.
I can flip through like a year and a half ago and be like, holy crap, I forgot about that.
Isn't it wild?
Remember, the same God, yesterday, today, and forever. He's the same God. If he did it then, he'll do it now. He'll do it tomorrow. Remember, that's been my thing.
5,000 for the bread.
What?
The bread.
Oh, the bread. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so I think we could keep doing this. I could keep doing this,
Yes.
but we probably have to wrap up at some point. It's probably time to do that now. So thanks for letting me join.
So glad you were
Exiles.
here. It's a great time.
It's awesome. You guys are doing a great job. I love listening to this
Thanks.
podcast. My wife is a big fan. I was supposed to say that.
Hey, Heather.
Yep.
Heather, don't forget to let us know exactly how that
The hair
right? What is it?
thing
The cutting of
goes.
the hair.
Yeah, the
and-
cutting the hair.
Is he lying? Does it really take
Does
3
he
hours?
really?
Just let us
Or
know.
have you secretly been complaining?
Okay, good. All right. So listen, I don't know how to wrap up other than say, if you want any other resources, please visit whoisgrace.com/Mark for those. I know these three, and Danielle included, always ask to submit a question or let them know how you're feeling about the podcast. So I let you know how our family feels about the podcast. Thanks for doing the work that you're doing.
Thanks.
Thanks all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.